If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, joining me right now, coming off his big win over the weekend at UFC Greenville, defeated Matt Wiman, finished the fight in the third round. I'm happy to be talking for the very first time to Violent Bob Ross himself, Luis Pena. Luis, how are you, man?
What's up, Mike? It's always a pleasure to be talking to FloCombat, and I'm glad to be able to make the connection with you, man. I really appreciate it. I'm doing great. I'm living my best life after this fight, having a great time. In all actuality, I'm about to jump in my new car, but I just bought.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, but I mean, as big as that fight against Matt Wiman was over the weekend, we'll get into that in a second. You're in a bigger fight right now, and I don't know if you have won this fight or have completed this fight, but you versus social media, you versus Instagram, how has that all worked out for you?
Man, I don't know what happened, man. All of a sudden, I just logged in on Monday, and me and Duran are banned from Instagram for 3 days. Hopefully tonight at midnight, I'll be able to start posting again on Instagram. But I talked to the UFC people to see if we couldn't get something figured out. They said I just got to ride it out.
So was it basically because you shared video of the fight and it was like a copyright thing, and that's why you got the ban?
Yeah, it was, but I'm not going to take it down.
Nor should you. It was a wonderful performance. I have to ask you this, and I know you talked to Ariel about this the other day. I try to listen to as many interviews as possible, and I know from watching other interviews and just kind of following along with you since you got into the UFC through Tough, you're a real student of the game. It's not just that you're a fighter; you're someone who's watched the sport for a long time and have always been a big fan of it. When Matt Wiman was the name presented to you, what was your reaction to that? I mean, obviously you knew who Matt was just being a student of the game, but to get that name, did you expect that at all?
No, man, not at all. I can't lie. It's not that I necessarily forgot who he was so much as I thought he was done fighting. So I was extremely surprised to see Matt come across my feed, as a name to fight. But at the end of the day, it was just another name. I was honored, that they would want me to be the guy to bring him back.
Well, that's great. I mean, it was an interesting matchup. I think a lot of people kind of scratching their heads, but then we kind of remembered Matt Wiman over, it had been 5 years since he had fought, but we remember how dangerous of a guy he has been in the past. Was it really difficult for you to kind of prepare for this? I mean, obviously you can go back and watch UFC Fight Pass and ESPN Plus and go back and watch old fights, but I mean, it's been 5 years since he stepped into the cage. Probably a little rust comes into play, but you're still getting into a cage with another guy. What was the preparation like for you? Just more focusing on what you're going to do?
Exactly. Me and my coaches sat down. We watched some of his old fights. We watched some of his, more recent fights. And it was really difficult because if you watch, old school Matt Wiman, he liked to go in there, take guys down and beat them up, and then submit them, look for the finishes on the ground. And then you watched, his last 3 fights, he kind of came out there with a traditional Muay Thai stance, bombing leg kicks on Ike Valley Flag and stuff, and TJ Grant. So I'm like, I'm watching this. I'm like, who am I going to fight here? And then my coaches were like, you know what? Fuck it. Doesn't really matter. You just work on you. We're going to train and prepare to fight the very best Matt Wiman we're going to see. And that's what we did. I wasn't truly concerned about how he was going to approach it, whether he was going to take me down, whether he was going to try and stand up with me, because I was preparing for everything from everywhere.
I talk to fighters a lot, and Brendan Schaub, I think, said it best. Some days you just wake up and you just feel like you don't have it, and some days you wake up and feel like it doesn't matter who's standing in front of you, you're going to beat them no matter what. And it seemed like right off the bat, you were really comfortable. You got going right away. Did you kind of wake up on Saturday and just feel like, man, I don't care if it's Matt Wiman, I don't care who it is. Like, this is going to be my day no matter what. Like, did you have that feeling heading into that fight?
What's funny is fight day was very, very weird for me. I don't know what it was, but I wasn't able to sleep for 3 days, leading into the fight. I literally stayed up from Thursday to Saturday. I didn't get any sleep in between then. I'm talking all Saturday. I'm sitting there like my coaches came into the workout room at the hotel, and I'm like passed out from like a 30-minute power nap, waiting for them to get there to do a little workout. I was groggy. I was all fight day. I'm like doubting myself. I'm wondering, like, man, like, have I fucked myself here? Have I put myself at a huge detriment? You know what I'm saying? Am I gonna have the energy to fight? And then I don't know, man. Every time I go in there into the back, every time I get ready, when they say, Luis, it's time to go, something flips, and none of that matters anymore.
Is that typical for you? Does that happen through a lot of your fights, or is this kind of an anomaly for you?
Oh no, this was an anomaly. This never happened to me before. Usually I sleep like a baby throughout fight week. I have no clue what it was, whether it was Greenville. Actually, no, I know exactly what it was. For some reason, my hotel room was scorching hot. Like, I'm talking like 75, like almost 80 degrees in my hotel room. So like I'm sweating bullets the whole time I'm trying to sleep. Mind you, while I'm cutting weight. So it's like I just could not get comfortable. I couldn't sleep. And for 3 days, I just sat up at night just thinking about this fight.
Man, that's really interesting, considering, you felt it didn't seem like that once you were in the cage. Like you said, a switch flipped off. At one point in that fight, did you really feel like you had something cooking here? I mean, obviously you had a rough couple of days trying to get some sleep, but then Saturday the switch flipped for you and you looked fantastic in the fight. At what point in the fight did you just feel like you had the timing down, you were one step ahead of him? Was it right away, or was it kind of like midway through the first round? When did you feel like you really were getting going there?
So when they stopped the fight for the cut, I remember thinking to myself, what the hell's going on? And then like I saw his cut, I'm like, oh, and like I looked at myself and I'm like, and I see like the blood all over me, and I felt like a shark in water. You know what I'm saying? A shark that smells blood. You can even, if you watch the fight, you can even see like I'm sitting there like chomping at the bit, waiting for Dan Mergliota to say go, just to go after him. And as soon as I realized what was going on, that's when I knew it's like, all right, this is on. I don't care about timing. I don't care about anything. I'm coming for that kill.
Did you get frustrated at all that the fight wasn't being stopped? I mean, you were hitting him with some big shots throughout that fight at different points. I mean, everybody on Twitter was like, oh, they should stop this thing. I know as a fighter, you wouldn't want anybody to stop the fight if you were in his shoes, but were you starting to get frustrated? Like, man, what else do I have to do to finish this guy?
Not at all. I think that's a big thing for young fighters, especially like fighters my age. You see that happen a lot. You see guys get hurt another dude, and they get frustrated. They can't put him down, and all of a sudden they're on the receiving end. But for me, I have great coaches, man. Rosendo Sanchez, Ron Kessler. I talked to DC a lot, and that was actually one of the biggest compliments DC gave me after the fight. He was like, man, you did a great job staying in yourself and staying composed when you hurt him, and just picking your shots. And it's like me and Ro talk about it all the time. You hurt someone and they don't go down, just keep having fun hitting them in the face.
Your roommate and teammate, Deron Wynn, made his UFC debut. He took on Eric Spicely, and what a fight that was. What an amazing way to kick off the card. I don't know what your pre-fight ritual is like when you're in the locker room, but did you get a chance to sit back and watch that fight, or did you not want to watch it just in case, the worst case scenario happened?
Oh, no. See, it's crazy. I don't really – if you follow the UFC on Instagram, you'll find out that I really don't have any pre-fight rituals. Other than, dancing and acting like a fool in there. But, no, I was screaming my head off. Like, I'm talking – Ro is sitting there in the back like, Luis, calm the hell down. You need to save your energy for your fight. And I'm like, man, this is my roommate. This is my brother. This is my blood. How you going to tell me to calm down? You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there going crazy. I'm going ham watching my boy in there because he was doing it. This is like, people don't understand. Me and Deron, like, we get into it all. Like, I look at him kind of like an older brother. We get into it all the time. We constantly yell and fight at each other. But at the same time, he's one of my closest confidants. I come to him with everything. You know what I'm saying? I ask him advice on everything. We talk through everything that's like going on in our lives. You know what I'm saying? And we have a very close relationship. And to be able to see him go out there and do that, and to be able to see him like just prove to everybody like, no, I'm not a wrestler, I'm a fucking fighter. It was everything I wanted, everything I needed to see, man. It was great before going into my fight, because that just gave me the juice. It gave me the energy. You know what I'm saying? I fed off that.
Not probably just because you're a teammate and a friend, but just as a fight fan in general, because those two, Deron versus Eric Spicely, Eric brought it himself on 6 days' notice. That whole fight in general had to get you fired up.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I watched that fight 5 times Monday when we got home. I can't tell you, like, that was, I knew as soon as that fight happened, I was like, I better go in there and beat this man's ass if I want 50,000, because I knew I wasn't going to get fight of the night.
So the fight ends, you get the big win, Duran gets the big win, you come home, you have to deal with the Instagram ban and all that stuff, but you had mentioned it a little bit earlier, you got yourself a new whip. Talk about the new car and how that all came to be for you. That's awesome.
Man, it's not, I mean, I just went and bought a BMW off Craigslist. It's not the best, it's not a new car, you know what I'm saying? It's just a old used BMW. But people don't understand, man. It's not about the car. It's not about the status symbol. It's what it represents for me. You know what I'm saying? For years I've struggled. I've toiled and worked and clawed my way to the top. You know what I'm saying? Clawed my way to get here, to put myself in a position where I can start, competing at the top of the sport. And just to be able to go out and buy a car with my own money that I earned, it just felt amazing. I've actually I've been looking at stuff on Craigslist for a while, and I've been talking to this dude, and I told him, like, hey, I got something coming up. I'm about to get a lot of money. Save this car for me. I just want it. And he, my dude Fernando, was able to hook me up.
It's one thing to look at a car and to buy it, and then, like, once everything's done, you drive it around for the first time. But I think it really sinks in when you get a car, like the first morning when you wake up and go out to the driveway and see it there and you're about to go into it. Like, what was that like for you to get out of bed and walk outside, see the car there and be like, oh yeah, this is real. Like, I have a car now. Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, that's exactly how it was for me this morning. Me and my buddy Court went and got some breakfast this morning, and just waking up, going outside and seeing the Beamer shining seeing the blue shine in the sunlight. I can't express how that felt, man. Because like I said, it has nothing to do with the car. It's all about what it represents. Everything that was put in to get into buying that.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations on the new car. Hopefully the Instagram ban ends soon. When would you, ideally, when would you like to get back in there and do it again? You want to take a couple months off, or if something happens, in the near future, you'd be happy to jump in and keep it going?
I actually talked to my manager. I have a very good relationship with my managers. We talk all the time, and talk to them about it. I told him, like, look, this is my 4th fight in 11 months. I would like to, how's it going, Adrian? I'd like to have, like, a month, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me a month to just sit back, relax, have a little fun. And then if y'all want, I can jump right into a camp. We can get another fight knocked out in September, October, but just give me some time to relax a little bit. 'Cause it's pretty much been like, I fight, I'll take a week or two to go home and visit my family and friends, and then I'm jumping right back into camp. I'd like to be able to fight, or I'd like to be able to take my time, because I'm going back home this weekend to Little Rock to celebrate my birthday next week. I'd like to be able to take that time, come back, and instead of jumping right back into camp, be able to start just focus on getting better before we go into another camp again. Give me a couple weeks or a month just to get better a little bit, and then let's jump back into camp, get 1 or 2 more knocked out before the end of the year, and see what 2020 is looking for.
If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an excess supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
I think that's more than fair. 4 fights in under a year's time. I think you've earned a month to kind of relax and do what you got to do and enjoy the new car and everything else that's going on in your life. Luis, I know you got a lot going on. You just got back from a great fight, a great performance over the weekend. And I really appreciate you taking some time a few days removed from the fight. Before you get out of here, let the folks know where to find and follow you on the web, social media, things like that. Obviously, Instagram will be back up and running hopefully by midnight. I'll make sure we have that Instagram tag on the bottom here so we can make sure they can find you again.
I appreciate it. Hey, I'm pretty sure you can still find me. I don't know. It might not be out there. You might not be able to find me. Actually, I've been getting notifications still, so you can still follow me on Instagram at Violent Bob Ross. It's the same Twitter. I've been trying to step my Twitter game up over the past couple of days as well, if you ain't noticed. But yeah, at Violent Bob Ross. And then you can like the page on Facebook, Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena. want to give a big shout out to all my sponsors, all my fans and friends and family that are keep supporting me. If you want, go to myfightshirt.com. I just released a new shirt, the Afro Samurai. It's got all my sponsors on the back. You know what I'm saying? The thing's looking nice. Support your boy.
I was just going to ask you about that. So you're a professional at this interview thing at this point, Luis. So thank you very much for the time.
Right.
Yeah, enjoy the car. Enjoy the beautiful weather, man. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mike. You have a good day.